It's that time of year again for the Edmonton Oilers. You're coming out of the Christmas break, playing Calgary on a Tuesday night, and you're looking to make a little bit better of the rest of the season than you did the first little bit. And that's where we find ourselves heading into tonight. Obviously, for the Oilers, is you need a result tonight to get going because the Flames are now ahead of you in the standings. But for the Oilers, this is the time of the year that we've watched them past several years come on strong every single time. Folks, this is Dolynny TV. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. My great pleasure to have you along today as we get set to discuss a little bit of Edmonton Oilers before the game at 7 p.m. against the Calgary Flames. Screw the World Juniors today. If everybody wants to legally stream it, they can. I'll just sit here and stream the good old Oilers game, and we'll have ourselves a great time either way. Anyway, friends, as we are getting this going, before we get to that, if you're new to the channel, I want you to consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV, simply because we're closing in on 10,000 subscribers now, less than 286 away. So if you'd be so kind, that would be greatly appreciated. Just stay tuned for more Oilers talk, a little bit of World Juniors talk, a little bit of everything mixed up here on Dolynny TV as we get set to hopefully watch the Oilers do what they did in 1920, do what they did last year after signing Evander Kane. And unfortunately for the Oilers, it seems to line up almost exactly the same way as last year. And last year lined up almost exactly as 1920 when you look at one key thing for the Edmonton Oilers each year. You look at December 31st, 2019, a night where I spent the night out on the town, going all driving around Calgary, hanging out with my best buddy that I've been friends with since I was 3 years old, like just having a good old time. But all in that, the Oilers were playing a hockey game that night. And I'll tell you about that game. The Oilers absolutely dummied the who was it? New York Rangers? Oh yeah, we did that again this year too. But and we did that last year too. But we dummied the New York Rangers and then almost choked it, and then still ended up somehow winning. But that was the emergence of Kyler Yamamoto, right? He had been up for a couple of times before over the course of the 2 seasons prior. But Kyler Yamamoto comes up for the Oilers and does not go back down the rest of the season until the season was paused at that point. They just absolutely rocketed through this entire rest of the calendar, did the Oilers, right? It was amazing. Now you had a guy scoring points. You had depth scoring suddenly. You had guys creating things. You had the dynamite line going. It was a great time for the Edmonton Oilers to obviously see a young prospect develop into an absolute stud for them in the back half of a season. So that's 1920. Then all of a sudden you come up to 2021, and the Oilers, mired in a very subpar situation where, right, Ken Holland is forced to make a move, and there's a really big name free agent suddenly available in the or 21-22, sorry, not 2021, 21-22, suddenly available in the mix of it, Evander Kane. And obviously the Oilers, not without risk, and nor was the Yamamoto thing without risk, right? There's no saying he was going to keep doing what he was doing his whole way through. But Evander Kane comes into the Oilers lineup, and the rest is history last year, right? Like, you fire tip it, Jay Woodcroft comes up, this team just starts going bananas and absolutely just demolishing teams down the stretch to end up where they did and make the playoffs and obviously do what they did in the playoffs last year. Now, flash forward to this year, my friends, and where do we find ourselves? Well, we're Evander Kaneless again at Christmas time, right? Yeah, sure, he's on the team. Yeah, sure, he's allowing us to have a 23-man roster. Yeah, sure, whatever. But we won't see Evander Kane back in an Edmonton Oilers lineup until roughly the first 2 weeks of February at best. So you're talking again when this Oilers team will need a shot in the arm to get where they're going, and right, as its history is showing, is the past couple of years, as soon as you get to this back half of Christmas, this team suddenly finds a different gear. While now all of a sudden you're going to get Evander Kane back in the second or first week of February if all goes according to plan, as it appears to be right now, because Kane's obviously skating, he's out there stick handling, as was the last update. So there's a little bit of hope that it is going to be the 3 months, not the 4 months. But again, right there, the Oilers are going to get that shot in the arm, and away they go. And suddenly the Oilers might just do exactly what they did 2 previous seasons here in the last 4. So that's the exciting part. I think it's way too easy to give up on the Oilers in December. I think that's quite honestly the simplest thing I could say. Knowing what I know and doing what I've done for the past 5, 6 years here on YouTube, is it's way too easy to give up on the Oilers in December, right? Jump off the bandwagon. Every December they're crap. Every November things start falling off the rails a little bit. And that's fair. That's true criticism. But you look at this Oilers team and you think about, okay, well, you know what? We now have a recorded history of how things change after Christmas. And suddenly you don't have to worry as bad about this team being bad off down the stretch. I think you get Evander Kane back, obviously that's going to help. But just to knowing what this team does down the stretch, knowing that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, they've been going beast mode all year, but you think that's beast mode, just wait until you see them go down the stretch. That's kind of the exciting part here for me as an Oilers fan, and me talking to you, my fellow Oilers fans, is simply put, the best is yet to come. If you think this is the best the Oilers have, then you don't know this team very well, because quite simply put, yeah, you can blame the defense, the goaltending hasn't been good, but that doesn't mean it can't get better, and that doesn't mean that the Oilers aren't set up to do exactly what they've done in years previous, right? It might be blind faith on my part, but for the Edmonton Oilers, I am not going to count them out until they're out. That's generally just at this point, right? You can never count a Connor McDavid team out until they're out, right? Even that series against Winnipeg, how tight it was even in the sweep, and that series against Colorado, how tight it was in the sweep, is the Oilers weren't out until that final buzzer in Game 4, both times out. So that's where it sits for the Edmonton Oilers right now, is it's just a matter of, you know what, go hot down the stretch, and that's what they're doing. And I mean, right now, I think they're 2 points out of third place in the Pacific Division, and watch how much the court of public opinion changes should the Oilers win tonight and suddenly be in third in the Pacific Division, right? Oh, we're not even in the playoffs at Christmas. Well, watch how quickly that changes when suddenly you're in the playoffs the first game after Christmas, should we win tonight against the Calgary Flames, right? I'm saying should because I don't want to assume, but right, the Seattle Kraken up at 32 games played, they've got 40 points. Well, should the Oilers go out there and win, they'll have 40 points as well in 19 wins, which will skirt them into, that big old third place in the Pacific Division. And you got to remember too, right now, despite the Oilers losing 4 of the past 5 games, they have points in 3 of the past 5. So they've gotten 4 points out of the past 10, which isn't realistically that bad. And you got to think too, most games have been, 3 games in that losing streak were all 1-goal losses, and then a 3-goal win and loss by 3. So you're pretty much dead even with the competition over the past 5 games, and now it's just a matter of going out there, and you're facing Jacob Markstrom according to Mark Spector tonight. Go light him up and do your thing, and I don't care who it is. It's the Oilers against Jacob Markstrom. I don't care if it's McDavid. I don't care if it's Holloway. I don't care if it's Costin. I don't care if it's Janmark. Somebody go light that man up, and let's enjoy the tears of Calgary Flames fans, because my friends, if you're coming into this video and saying, oh man, the Oilers are going to lose against the Flames and stuff, you clearly don't understand what being an Oilers fan is all about. I don't care how bad of a season it is. Heck, it can be 09-10. Heck, it can be 14-15. If you aren't going in to the Battle of Alberta wanting to destroy the Calgary Flames, you've lost sight, my friends. You've lost sight. All right, anyway, I can argue all day about that, but I'm going to head out. I'm going to go have myself a tea, and we will talk to you at 7 o'clock for game time.